Hey everybody, what's up? So glad to be back.
Hello,
Thanks for
hello.
joining live with Kyrus. So excited to see you guys on here tonight. And I want to introduce my panel guests. Because I got some new people on here today. So I want to go ahead and say a big hello and welcome to my best friend Taylor. She is pursuing her master's degree for teaching. She's a mother of my wonderful 2 out of the 3 godchildren that I have, Isabel and LJ, and you'll have seen them all over our Facebook and Instagram, sure. And I want to say hey to Aaron and Kelsey Brave. They've got their Let's Faith Together podcast, Quick Talk Tuesday. Aaron, are you doing worship Wednesday tonight, Aaron?
We will see.
Okay, so we're in hopes of worship Wednesday tonight. You never know what's going on with that. Kelsey's a law student at Regent University, entering into her last semester. Yay. Super proud of her. And they've got a beautiful little baby bundle of joy on the way. My nephew, baby Brave. So we're so excited for that and everything that God's doing in their lives. We've got Pastor Kyrus and Deacon Brian on the other side of me, my wonderful parents. Thankful for them. My mom is the associate pastor at Favor Nation Church. And my dad, well, what can I say about him? He cuts trees. He's a handyman. He's painting cars. He manages the whole body shop. What else do you do, Daddy? Landscaping. You tell us what to do. What else do? You telling us what to do, Amari, what to do all the time. Am I frozen? Can you guys hear me? Hello?
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on.
Looking good.
Hello, everybody here?
Yeah, you're good.
Guys?
You're good.
Yes, you're good.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Everybody is freezing up. Hello?
All right, guys. It seems like we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're glad you guys are here and everything like that. The book that we're going to be going over, we have some great topics tonight, so I'm excited to share that with you. I don't know where my parents went either, but I'm sure that they will be back. But it just is talking about the word couple and how couples are not just, it's in the Bible as well, about coming together and two becoming one. Because the word of God says that when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord, and that he will leave and cleave to his wife, but also that he is the headship of the house. So the book talks about the word couple, and it breaks it down into couple. And so the first one is closeness, openness, understanding, peacemaking, loyalty, and esteem. So Brian and I, we have the first two for the C and the O. For C is closeness. So you want to talk about closeness?
So closeness to me is a couple things. I think that definitely Indy wants me to be around and be actually present in our relationship, not just physically, but, with conversations and talking. So, one example is sometimes I'll be at the gym late and she will want me, and I want to as well, get off work at a decent time so we can actually hang out and ask each other how our days were and actually spend, real quality time. So, if I got off work late and all that kind of stuff, it's showing that, I might not actually be interested in making time to hang out with her. But also, like phone conversations, asking her how her day was and actually getting to know her on like a real intimate level, emotionally and everything as well.
Yeah, and I agree with that, because even just talking to my dad or just talking to him, like closeness is not just proximity, but it's just about being present as well. Like, where are you mentally when we're together? What are you thinking about? Like when you go on a first date, even though our first date was a movie, now that you have grown, you probably want to do a first date like dinner and then the movie, so you can actually talk and learn people. Because in a movie, you're just kind of like going, like you're just sitting by each other and everything like that, but you still don't know about that person on their first date. And just so closeness to me means making time, making me feel like that I am important, that it is valuable. What I'm wanting is not just something big and like hard for you to do, that we share the same interests and we're still like on one accord. And when he gets off late, it does make me feel like, especially when you're not working, maybe you're working out or something like that, you could have done that in the day, because now we've spoken in the days, like in the day, like during the day, but later on it's like, hey, let's unwind together, even if we're not in the same area. See how I'm doing. Do you want to watch a show together, and or something like that? Because when you get home at 8, then you want to unwind for yourself for like 30 minutes or an hour. Then you got to make dinner and shower. And by the time that all happens, you're talking to me at 10 o'clock at night, and I value my sleep, but I'm trying to go to sleep. So
Exactly.
I'm just like, look, what works for you doesn't work for me. Let's come in and have a happy medium. But then the next one for the couple was for openness, and it says that I value you being open to me and stuff. So
Yep. So openness, being able to actually,
They're back. What's up, guys?
we're on the O for openness.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right,
Well.
go ahead, Bilu.
So openness to me is, really actually try not to withhold anything as far as my feelings. That's how I see openness, is like, if there's something that I'm struggling with, to be able to actually tell her, to have her be somebody that can, give me advice or hear me out, to actually not to have to keep all that inside. Because, as a man, there's a lot of struggles in life, as anybody, we all go through struggles. So, with my past history of drugs, that's one example that I can bring up, is that for a long time, dating Indy, she has her own struggles, but to me, I was like looking at her like she's perfect. I was like, she doesn't have any struggles. So if I tell her that I'm still, dealing with some of the issues from my, drug history, I thought that she would, judge me in a wrong way. So I withheld some stuff. I was like just trying to be strong, and I never told her that I was still dealing with certain things from my past. And not that I was actually doing drugs, but actually dealing with, some of the issues that came after it. So, when I actually found out that I can open up to her, that was like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders, and it made it so that I could actually be a better man for her.
Yeah, and then yeah, and so for that, honestly, because I didn't come from a family like that, so it kind of was like, but I had to, be mature, because someone is trying and they're not actively using. That was in their past. But I also had to let him know that God heals us, but our memory, we still remember how something made us feel. And so just because you have that thought doesn't mean you have to let it stay. So you used to do something that was bad, and it felt good at that time, but it was wrong. And so you still have those times where you want to run to this or run to that, but I shouldn't. That's just the enemy. It's not really your thoughts. And I had to help him with that, but I would have never known that if he didn't open up to me. Because how can I help somebody, or when people just all of a sudden like do crazy things and their spouse is like, I didn't even know they were struggling with this and everything like that. But it goes back to closeness. I've said to him, I don't really know you if you don't expose certain things to me, like, or you can't go and say that we're best friends if I don't know your intimate details and all that kind of stuff. Because one, I need to know what I'm getting myself into. Two, I don't need you to be a fake and phony to me. And I'm just like, look, I'm open with you, be open with me, but you also have to have a common ground that once you're open with someone, you're not going to hold it against them. You can't keep bringing it up. It's just different things that you're going to work on. So not that I'm perfect on it with it, or he's perfect with it, but you got to have a relationship where each other is trying.
That was really good, you guys. That was good. Deacon Byrne and Pastor Kyrus, y'all are next. I don't know what happened, but I'm so thankful for Indy and Bilu just keeping on going on with the show. But I didn't want to not introduce Jonelle Bales and all the awesome things that she's doing as our head and leader of our ministry for a theatrical department at Favor Nation Church in Indy, and Brian Lewis with IB Fit, and all the awesome stuff that they're also doing. So I didn't want to miss that opportunity to say hi to them. I want to shout out some people that we have in our comments before we move on. We've got Michael Lewis. We've got Brenda on here. We've got Sharita, Tremaine, Lulu, Martia, Pee Wee's up here. So hi, you guys, and please send in your comments and questions to the panel, because we're excited about what you guys have to say. So with that being said, okay, Pastor Kyrus and Deacon Byrne, can you guys kind of give us your thoughts about understanding, don't try to fix her, just listen, and peacemaking? She wants you to say, I'm sorry, from Dr. Emerson's book and his couple analogy, and what it takes for the man to kind of see what a couple actually is.
All right, on the understanding part, it's a little tricky, but you have to make sure that you realize what you're getting into And so you have to have a clear understanding of yourself to know, in my opinion, of what you can tolerate and what you can't tolerate. It's like, knowing the good and the bad and sorting out and knowing what you can live with, what you can deal with, what you can't. Like she always tells me, when you met me, I didn't cook. So I have to come to the understanding that she's not going to cook. You know what I mean? So instead of always getting upset and being mad about it, I just found a different avenue of preparing and making getting something to eat. And thank God my kids are older now; they can make their daddy something to eat.
Oh, see,
So that's understanding, and it takes away from all the craziness and the arguments and the complaining. Because once you understand who you're dealing with, you have to know how to work accordingly.
Okay.
I don't know if that understanding is true or not.
Well, but that is good because so
right, go ahead.
That was good because if you think about it, Pastor Kyrus, you actually grew up with a lot of uncles, so you weren't in the kitchen traditionally like under your mom or under your grandmother or under your aunts. So you were outside kind of playing with the guys and playing with the boys and playing sports and doing different things. So your upbringing is different. For Deacon Brian, his upbringing and my grandmother's love language is cooking. She loves to cook. She enjoys that. And you can ask him if you talk to her, she's like, look, if we didn't have anything else, we always had food. So then he grew up knowing that my parents love, or my mom loves me because she provides and there's always a hot meal on the table. So that can come with the understanding and don't try to fix or just listen, because you do have to know where that person's coming from. So Deacon Byrne, what do you think about the peacemaking, and what does it say to you when you hear she wants you to say, I'm sorry? And then Pastor Kyrus, if you could do the understanding and peacemaking after he finishes his thoughts.
The saying I'm sorry is kind of tough because I don't see them wrong all the time that she see you. So you have to really. And I actually talked to a guy today at work. He was talking about what were you going to do for the New Year's resolution. And I said, I'm going to be a little bit more understanding and a little more, I would say, a little more.
You don't even know the
easy
word.
To get along with.
Sorry.
I'm going to be a little bit more understanding as far as what's going on, so I don't make those same mistakes to do things where I have to say I'm sorry.
Right. Okay.
That's what I think.
Okay. So you just don't think it's that big of a deal. So you don't feel like if you haven't done anything, you shouldn't have to apologize for anything.
Right, because sometimes they can see the apology as a blow-off. It's like, I'm sorry just to get past it.
Right.
And they still are in the arguing mood. And I'm trying to, just squash it so we can get along and not have this bad night until they continue to keep working your nerve.
Well, like Sharita and Jermaine said, sometimes you have to maybe finish that conversation the next day.
Amen.
Last week, Jermaine said you might have to finish that conversation the next day if it gets too late.
I'm trying to tell you.
Okay, so Pastor Kyrus, what is it that you think when you hear the understanding, don't try to fix me, just listen, and then the peacemaking, she wants you to say, I'm sorry. What is it that comes up when you hear that, and the understanding and trying to get to know your spouse, or what that means for the foundation of your relationship?
Well, I think it took a long time for the understanding, and tonight is the first time I see that he understands me when it comes to cooking. Praise the Lord.
Little.
Either way, Tremaine Harvey had put on there. I don't know if you saw that. I can't remember. What did he say? If I didn't do it at the beginning, then don't expect me to do it later. That's my boy, Tremaine. He see me. He knows who I am, and I kind of think that's kind of how it is. I think I have to. I agree with that. I mean, that could have been a mistake, but at the beginning, I tried to cook, and he said for me to cook at least 4 days a week, and then I could eat out on the weekend because, my mom being a single mom, actually moved out of my grandma's house. We ate out all the time. So my thing was, okay, I'll try to cook 4 nights a week. But on the way home from his job, he had to pass his mother's house. He passed his mother's house every day from work. So he would stop at his mother's house and have a taste of her food before he got home. Well, that was a huge taste, and his mama can really cook. So why not keep tasting at your mama's house and leave me alone when you know I don't want to do this? And that went on for a while. So basically, I just put up them
Oh
hands
gosh.
and called it a day. So I'm glad he understands now, y'all. You know, he understands. So the peacemaking part, saying I'm sorry, I think it goes both ways because I have a hard time saying I'm sorry too. So I'm going to go ahead and give into this. So I think that's something that both of us really need to work on is knowing when you're wrong and quickly saying, you know, you're sorry just to keep it moving, you know.
Right.
But his normal thing is you just want to argue.
Okay.
That's it.
I have a question, but mommy, do you just want to argue?
Some days. I want the devil to use me, Boogie.
It feels so good.
No, don't let the devil use you.
Oh, we have a question from Martia, and she said, "How do you have a conversation with your spouse about doing more or being more considerate without trying to seem like you're nagging?" Woo-wee.
Well, I'm going to answer. To me, you have to. It goes back to knowing who you're with.
Right.
You know, if this guy is working hard all the time, and like the other day I come home, my wife wants me to hang some pictures. I've been working. I got off. I got leaves up. I'm hustling. Next thing I know, she's talking about
up leaves at your job.
I'm talking. Not. I say I got off, and then I got leaves up at somebody else's house.
Just checking.
And then she wants me to come home. She wants me to hang some pictures. You should have seen my face. I can't even believe it.
Show him the face.
Really? I said, really? You know, so the way to get it done is to maybe give them something, maybe by like in a couple of days or on the weekend, if you're able, set them up so you're not setting yourself up for failure. You know, talk to them when they're going to have time, and you know they're going to have time to do it.
She's saying don't be, she's asking so she won't seem like she's worrisome or nagging.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you give them time, you won't feel like you're worrisome or nagging.
I'll always be worrisome and nagging.
Brian has some.
So I think it's all about your delivery. So, you know, I think if you come to your spouse or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whatever, and you're just like, you know, I know that you're trying really hard, and, you know, I know you're really busy, but, you know, maybe we can do this, or maybe you could, you know, do this, or, you know, instead of just being like, you're inconsiderate or you're this, you know, actually don't accuse somebody of doing that on purpose. Actually, you know, try to make it sound like you're actually with them as a team, that we need to be better in this area.
Yeah, and also I think in the heart of your spouse, you'll hear them differently. Like if you already have a false narrative in your mind of, oh, my spouse she's lazy, or she's just such a nagger, or whatever the case is, then you're also going to hear through the ears of like that, kind of see through the lens of that too, and just be like, oh, already on the defense, instead of being open to, hey, let me help them out and stuff like that.
Well, I was talking to a guy, and dating a guy, and he was just saying how I would be like, well, you should have done. And I know last week we covered what the terms of should have, could have, would have, and, you know, just the command of, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that. And I do think that when he gave the explanation, and this is coming from a guy's perspective, because men, we need to hear what you have to say, and women too. It is about the delivery. It's about the words you use, and it's about the direction and the dictation. Men can't take being told what to do, you know. And even if you listen to on a conversation with a man and his boss or his manager or the person, his superior above him, there's still a way that men speak to other men to where it doesn't feel demeaning. So I would think too, like Deacon Burn said, and even Bilu, you know, not setting them up for failure, watching your delivery. But it's like, but at the same time, ladies, okay, what about when we say something really nice, we say it in a good way, we've got a great delivery for it, and they still consider it nagging because it's something they just don't want to do. So, or it's just one more extra thing, then you do need to consider, is that the person for you? You know, Taylor, what would you say if that question was directed towards you, or someone was asking you, what would you say about it?
I was going to piggyback off of Indy. I think, and you also, Bree, the delivery is very important. I feel like if you give a praise with it, sometimes that can go a little bit further. I love when you do this. I love when you cut the grass, but do you mind getting the leaves also? You know, giving them a little more, like they love, blow that head up because they love that. If you give them a little praise, they're like, oh, okay. So I think the whole delivery and giving them a little extra, you know, you might get something from it. I really do.
Okay, that was good. And that's true because they are about ego, and a lot of men, even if their love language is not affirmation, men still need to be affirmed, because while they may not say it, they still are also looking for direction. Just like women are looking for direction and want to know they're doing the right thing, or want to know that they're doing something right. Men are the same way. And so if you do like the Oreo effect, you say something good, put the little bit of tough part in the middle, and then end with something good, that really does help, and it makes a difference. Unless that person is just determined that they're not going to hear you one way or the other, and their perspective is already skewed on you, or they're jaded with a certain situation. It's just you have to really pray and ask the Lord, God, can you fix this situation? Because sometimes you do have to trust that the Lord will answer these prayers and will answer you, and he's the best one to talk to, because you can't. Just remember that he created that man. He can talk to that man after you're done talking.
I believe first you should ask, how was your day? Because once I tell you how my day went, you might get an idea whether that question of putting the picture up is due.
Okay. Okay, we have another question, and she was just saying, Martia said, what if you talk to them and they act like they didn't do anything wrong? Jonelle, what do you do when you're talking to someone and they act as if they haven't done anything wrong?
After I take the deep breaths.
That's her woosah.
Yes. I mean, because really, that's not really a good thing, because I think that's one of the problems. Right. If we go back to Martia's first question, you know, how do you have this conversation with the person and not feel like you're nagging? To me, and I think for some men, it becomes a nag if it's something that you've said more than once. There's a situation that you had to have a conversation about more than once. So if you had to have that conversation, or this quote unquote nagging conversation, more than once, that means they feel like they never did anything wrong, because you're talking to them about that same thing over and over again. So now we have to try to find another approach. So that goes back to what Taylor was saying. Let's start out with the praise, and then start with the, but can you do this next time? And then end it with a thank you and another praise. I don't want to, okay. So some men, and I won't say all, but some men, it is an ego thing. They don't want to accept when they are wrong. They don't want to accept that they've done something or said something wrong. So Martia, I just say, to piggyback again after something that Dick and Byrne said, it depends on who the person is. If you have this person already, and it goes for the woman too, if this man has a woman in their life that they're having to say something to over and over and over again, and if we women have to say something over and over and over again, and it's becoming a nagging situation.
Yeah. We have another question. Michael Lewis said, well, first, Lisa Holloman. Hey, Lisa. She said, so I want to know, did Deacon Brian put up the picture? Did you ever put the picture up?
No. I told her put it behind the dresser. Out of sight, out of mind for a minute.
Oh, that's so wrong.
But
I'm gonna put it up. I'm gonna put it up.
Hey,
when?
Aaron has something he wanted to say. Aaron,
I was gonna say Daddy will put that picture up eventually, and he does it. He does a really good job of housework. But anyways, I just wanted to add one more comment to the question that Martia had, and I just want to say that I do believe it's the answer too is also foundational. Before you have these conversations, I think it's good to just set up how you guys are going to handle conflict. You know, how you guys are going to handle arguments and conversations. You know, and try to turn your arguments into a conversation instead of arguments. But I think it's really important, because if your husband is thinking or your significant other is thinking that you're nagging, I think that part of it is coming from him maybe thinking that you don't necessarily have his best interest at heart. and vice versa. When you approach him, he's probably feeling, this whole book that we're reading is about love and respect, right? So it's talking about how the husband needs to feel respected. So in that sense, what goes along with the compliments are really showing your husband that, hey, I'm acknowledging a lot of the good things that you do. And what I think needs to happen is you need to make sure you acknowledge that you know that he is goodwill towards you. Because what really irks my nerves, right, is when I feel like I'm being labeled, or I feel like my significant other is acting like I don't have a goodwill heart towards her. Like I'm doing this stuff on purpose. Like I'm actually hurting her on purpose. And that's a lot about what the book kind of covers as well. So it's like when you can have that conversation at first, and that's why me and Kelsey like to start our conversations off with, hey, I know you didn't mean to make me feel like this, or I know you didn't mean to do this to me or whatever. And I know you don't really mean to make me feel like this, and you don't want to hurt my feelings. Right. But this is how I'm feeling. In an effort so that we can communicate really good, I just want to bring up this conversation. I know that you didn't mean to make me feel this way, and I know that you're not trying to do this on purpose, but let's just have a conversation about this, because we're a team, and I want to get better, and and we both want this ship to sail smoothly. You know what I mean? So, and you got to know that he cares about you. Part of the thing too, even worrying about bringing up the conversation, is fear, right? And that's not from the Lord. Like fear is from the devil. God doesn't give us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So when we think about these things, try to switch your mind too. If feeling like he's gonna just think you're nagging, like that's also in a sense labeling him to not being able to change, because maybe you had conversations before talking like, I'm not trying to nag you and blah 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 blah. So give him a chance to change as well, and like just keep hoping the best in those conversations, and just start establishing how you guys are going to open up a conversation with each other, because you got to be able to communicate. So, and he wants the best for you, and I know you want the best for him. So just establish that at first. Look, I'm not trying to nag you, but this is just something that's bothering me. I think it's foundational.
Yeah.
That was good. We have another question. That was really good, Aaron. And Martia said, thank you guys, but you can't see it yet because I had to go back up and get this question from Brenda. And she said, my question is, as I'm getting married, should the wife cleave to her husband in all aspects? And I think when we look at the term leave and cleave, and you're leaving your mother and father's house and cleaving to your spouse and cleaving to your husband, I would say yes, only because when you're leaving one area of dependency, one area of cohabitation, you have to completely cut off ties. So you can't still keep a room at your mom's house and keep a room at your dad's house, or have a separate apartment. Because when at one point I was a single individual, and now I'm leaving and cleaving to another. So I'm no longer a single individual. It is not long, it's no longer just me, it's us. Pastor Kyrus, what would you say to this question from Brenda?
Well, I guess I would, I do know her. She's such a sweet lady, a prayer warrior. And I think assuming the person that she married is somebody that she wants to leave and cleave to. So if that's the case, you want to start off your marriage right. And you want to, like Aaron had said earlier, have a discussion about certain things. Now, everybody we marry isn't always perfect. You hope that they, we should be on the same page. We should be a team. We should be oneness in this marriage. So I would say, yes, leave and cleave to everything that he's doing. But if there's anything that is questionable, then at that point, I would pray about it, and I definitely would talk to him about it, because I might not be able to cleave or to everything that he's doing. So, because we all need some work. But I do know her, and she has a good judgment. So I'm going to say yes.
Okay. I want to get to Aaron and Kelsey, because they are doing the loyalty. She needs to know you're committed, and the esteem. She wants you to honor and cherish her, part of the couple acronym and analogy that Dr. Emerson speaks about in his book that we're coming from. So Aaron, when you hear loyalty and esteem, what are your thoughts? Like, what comes to mind for you, and how you want your relationship to grow and go?
I really think loyalty, I just think it's super important to know for her to have comfort in knowing that, like, that that she's the only one. You know, that I'm gonna be loyal. I got her back 100%. I believe in her. I trust in her. So to kind of produce that thought in her head and in her heart, you know, I try to continually I try to be intentional about with my words and my actions. Right. And so just in actions, I mean, I'm not out here chasing everybody. I ask her, I try to make sure I like talk to her about things and that I'm thinking about doing, or vice versa. And I try not to step on her toes or make her feel like I try not to embarrass her somehow in public by acting like I'm looking at some other girl or doing stuff like that. Like, you know, I just think it's so important to protect our marriage because I just know that God has so much great things planned for us. So my mind is always in protecting our marriage and making sure that she knows that I am, you know, I'm loyal 100% and that she's the only one for me, you know? And so it's just about being intentional to me. And esteem, that goes along with just the words that I speak to her. And I just try to make sure I compliment her on the little things that she does. I try to make sure, you know, I'm intentional about just saying thank you for different things and just noticing the little things, you know, and letting her know continually. Like I told you guys, one of the other shows that, you know, there's times where I just kind of repeat some of our wedding vows to her. And I do that. Well, but anyway, because it's like, hey, it's really just an affirmation. It's like, hey, Kelsey, I love you. I think you're awesome. I know I don't get it all right all the time, but I love you. I think you're awesome. I think you're beautiful. I really appreciate you doing this, that, you know, and I just try to make sure like it's an intentional thing that I continually do because the devil is out here trying to steal, kill, and destroy. So we got to be intentional and be on guard.
That was so good, you guys. Okay, guys, it pays to have sisters because me and Indy really helped Aaron be as awesome as he is. I'm just trying to tell you, okay? I really think him seeing us go through crazy relationships and situationships and whatever, I really think it just changed his mind about how to treat a woman. So when you have a daughter, Aaron, I'm going to be so excited.
All right, sure, that's true.
I agree with you, Bree. I think that's the truth.
Indy, what did you say?
Right, thank you. I know he's not playing. There have been many times I had to pull out that belt.
She didn't. Kelsey, what are your thoughts on the loyalty and esteem?
So for loyalty, I mean, along the same lines of what Aaron said, I think loyalty is important in any relationship. But I think there are also certain people who appreciate loyalty like a little bit more, and I definitely would consider myself one of those people. I think loyalty is like one of my most important things in any kind of relationship, you know, family relationships, husband relationship, friendships and stuff. And that's also another reason why I feel like I don't get super, super close to just anybody because not everybody's going to be loyal to you. You know what I mean? So to me, it's important is what I'm trying to say. And I will also say in the Bible, you know, there's many verses that talk about not, if you want to talk about the cheating or like the not looking at other women in lustful ways, there's many Bible verses that talk about that. And there's Bible verses that talk about, you know, pretty much appreciating your own wife and not looking at other women. They pretty much ask like, why would you look at another woman and all that kind of stuff. So that goes along with loyalty. And then for esteem, you pretty much want your husband to like adore you. You know what I mean? And so some Bible verses that go with that is in Proverbs 5:19. At the end of it says, "May you ever be intoxicated with her love," which is talking about the wife, which I think is just like adoring your wife. You know, the Bible is like pretty much like adore your wife. That's what she wants. That's what you should do. And then in Proverbs 31:29, it says, her husband also. Well, it says her children arise and call her blessed, but then it says her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. So just another verse that shows how you should kind of like adore your wife and have that high esteem. And I just think, you know, it's what we crave, or at least most women crave. I know I crave it. So
say it till they believe it.
My cousin Rondell said, Pop said, you owe yourself a look. No, you do not owe yourself a look. You do not owe yourself. You don't owe yourself a look. Okay. We had a question. Tremaine said, what do you do if your spouse in a situation where your spouse is wrong? Question. do you have to have your significant others back 100%, even if they're wrong? Because he said he loves hot sauce, which is Lulu, my girl. But if you're tripping, I'm not riding with you. So what do you guys say to that? Now, let me say, my parents told me a long time ago, we don't correct each other in public. If we in a fight, we're all in a fight. And if something's up, you could have been wrong, like dead wrong, but I'm gonna have your back because you're blood to me. You're my sister, my brother, whatever it is. But when we get in the car, I'm gonna be like, dang, you did not, you know, you were wrong for starting that. You know, so what do you do? Like, how do you handle that situation when your spouse is wrong? Because Pastor Kyrus and Deacon Byrne have plenty of situations that I've been present for where one or both of them could be wrong in a situation. And they are great examples of getting in the car like, why do you have to say that? You know, like, what advice would you give to a couple who's doing that? Who's kind of maybe leaving you hanging out to dry, you two?
Well, I would say sometimes you have to just bite your lip. You know, sometimes you can't just throw the person under the bus. You like you know, Kyrus said, you have to be there when they're wrong. If they're in front of people, you cannot, you know, talk bad to them in front of someone. You have to go along with them, as long as it's nothing detrimental to your health or physical being. You know, you have to kind of go along with them and get them straight in the car.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, y'all two are bad. The two of you are bad.
Ask somebody else.
I'm not gonna ask nobody else, because y'all know the truth is. But okay, but even Jonelle, for when even in your past marriage, or even when you're looking at dating or getting to know somebody, how are you gonna handle it? Are you gonna have their back? Are you gonna be like, no, I can't go with you on that one?
Oh no, I agree with what you were saying earlier, as far as not in public. We're not correcting each other in public. We're not gonna embarrass each other out in public if one of the other is wrong, but it should be handled behind closed doors. I mean, as soon as the question was posed up on the panel, on the screen, I was thinking immediately, I was just like, no, we will not handle this except for behind closed doors. You should always have your partner's back, your husband, your boyfriend, family members, and talk about it later. Now, you might get a look. You might get the side eye. Like, okay, now you know you're wrong, dude. You know?
He said he's speaking of it in terms of in the house. Like, if she's wrong in the house.
Well, I mean, what?
But okay, so wait, does in the house qualify as with your in-laws though? Because you can be in the house and at dinner with your in-laws, and do you have your spouse's back, or do you let your mama and them, you know, your mom or whoever it is, really lay your spouse out and just kind of lay into them, or do you take up for them? Because I've seen couples and their moms could say something as their significant other, and the spouse does not stand up for them. They let their mom or their father, whoever it is, really, Deacon Byrne is guilty for that. Really take over and be disrespectful. So how do you handle that? Taylor, how do you handle that? I know you had a great mother-in-law when you were married, and she's still awesome to LJ, Bella, and me, because I love her. But how would you handle that if that was someone's situation?
If we're in the house and it's the in-laws, I still think you should have your spouse's back. You never want anyone to see a break or any type of space that they can get in between you and separate you. It always should be one page. And that's your husband, that's your wife, that is your household, and you protect your household, and you protect it with that spouse, whoever's by your side. And it's not, you correct it with the utmost respect, never disrespect, but that is your home. And you know, we talk about leaving the nest, leaving home, and you go with your spouse, and that's that foundation there, and that's what's first. And you know, that's something to always keep in mind. Those will be your parents, those are your in-laws.
I agree. And even in front of the kids, I think it's important to be a united front in front of your children. Because if you play good cop, bad cop, then I'm going to lean one way versus the other as a kid. You know, and my mom would always say if she didn't want to do something, okay, ask your dad. But then I would go ask him and he would say, ask your mom. So then I would just call my grandma and do what I wanted to do because I was like, she just trumps everybody. So nobody could give me an answer. So I would just call mom. I didn't even care. I was like, Mom, they're not letting me do so and so. And if she didn't give me the answer I want, I would just call my grandma, my great grandmother. It was just bad. Either way. But that happens because you like Taylor said, you don't want to show them any type of space where they can get in between you. And even in the situation of like talking about going back to the couple analogy, I want Taylor to tell me what she thinks about the understanding, don't try to fix her, just listen. Like when you hear that or when you heard the guys explain that, what did that say to you? Like what's your experience and your thoughts behind the don't try to fix me, just listen? Oh gosh.
Bree, you know. I had to speak on this. I am me. And when you meet someone, you meet them for who they are. I'm not a project.
Come on.
I am here as, you know, the big heart, the outgoing. I am this loving woman and I'm ready to give you love. I'm not here for you to make me into what you want. You should accept me how I am. And I just want you to listen, not hear me, actually listen. Show empathy. You know, I'm not coming to you sometimes for a solution. I just want you to know that, hey, I'm that strong woman you know I am, and I conquered this today. And I just had to share that with you. So I know that my partner is that listening ear, you know, that I have that strength with you, you know, at home, out in public, or when I'm on my own. Just know your woman, your wife, she has it. So just understand and know that, you know, I am who I am and I'm going to stand firm to that. And it's not coming, you know, I'm not coming to you for you to say, well, let me tell you, you need to do this. No, baby, I got it. I'm just letting you know I got it. And I just had to share because I'm proud and I want you to be proud too. So it's not about you fell in love with me for who I am. You know, it's not about changing anything. So definitely that understanding and listening. So just empathizing and just be there to know, you know, they just want that ear. You know, it's not always a response all the time. So
that was good. Okay. She says she just wants to vent and let you know she conquered it. She don't need your solutions. Okay. She don't need your solutions. Okay. So John Nail, I want to know when you hear peacemaking and you heard the guys' definitions and their thoughts on peacemaking and she wants you to say, I'm sorry. Is that something from your perspective that you think is needed or really can make or break a relationship? The peacemaking aspect coming from his side.
Oh, definitely. For me, I think it's a make or break as far as in a relationship. And I just remembering something that Deacon Burns said as far as an apology, just maybe just to blow off the situation or just say I'm sorry, just to, you know, to shut down the conversation, so to speak. My thing is it has to be sincere. And I think as a woman, you would know if that apology is actually a sincere apology, or if your husband or boyfriend is just apologizing just to end the conversation. But another important aspect of that is on the receiving end of that apology. If you want it, you have to be ready to receive it and forgive, and not just want the apology just for the apology, just to be able to, you know, say, oh, I made him apologize. Oh, well, you said you were sorry. Oh, you know, to go back to your girlfriend and say, oh, he told me he was sorry. Did you really receive the apology as a true apology?
All right, hold on.
You know, did you acknowledge that? And are you ready to forgive for that apology? Deacon B, hold up, what?
Now, hold on. Now, let me say this. Let me say this right here.
With the back and forth. Go ahead, Deacon B.
Let me just say this right here, because I smile a lot, right? So I can sincerely be saying I'm sorry and smiling because I can't believe that this has gone this far. And I'm trying to end it and not get upset. So I'm smiling thinking she is really tripping and I'm really sorry. And women just sometimes will not let it go.
I will give you that. That is true. Because I can honestly say and be a woman enough to say that I too were one that just would not let it go because I really didn't think that was a sincere apology. I really did think it was just a blow off.
right? But it's hard. Like I tell Kyrus sometimes, you really don't know what's in the person's heart, and you have to take it at face value. If they say they're sorry, at least it came out, whether they meant it or not. It came out, because I can't tell you how you feel about something or someone else how they feel about something, because they said it in a way that I thought was less credible than I thought I should have received.
Right, and an acknowledgement to me, and I've said this before in one of our other, panels that we had. An acknowledgement, saying you're sorry, acknowledges that you knew that you were wrong. Did you really acknowledge the fact that I said or I did something to wound or to hurt you? And that's why it's important to me as a woman that there's an acknowledgement there of wrongdoing. And I know it takes two. It takes two at any given point. It takes two, even to start, as we would say, in a crazy cycle, because I can apologize and acknowledge when I'm wrong, but I want you to do the same thing. And, sometimes we don't always get that. So it's just important to me that we have that type of peace in our relationship in order for our relationship to work.
And I think a key word sometimes, I know I'm waiting there. A key word one time, a key word to me is, like I tell Kyle sometimes, we're going to have to agree to disagree. So if not saying I'm better than you or you're better than me or I know it all and she knows it all, sometimes it's just we need to agree to disagree, because she's thinking it's blue, I'm thinking it's yellow, and it's just the way the sun is shining.
Oh, Lord. Okay, well, I see we could go through this apology thing. Well, first of all, let's be fair and call a spade a spade. We don't know the person's heart. However, if they have a history, though, of saying they're sorry and continuing to do the same things, then you do look at their apology as, well, I'm not really sure. But it's still our call as Christians to still take it for face value. It's not our call to judge and to go back and forth, because it says love keeps no account of wrongdoing. So then when do we get out of line and out of the word of God when we try to figure out what's right, what's wrong, and if you meant it or you don't meant it? Because we can only be held accountable for what was said, and God has to be held accountable and handle the rest of it. So I think it makes it tough. To Pookie's point, like, Johnny, I get it. It really does make it tough, because if you're a repeat offender like Indy likes to use, okay, it is hard to hear that apology and then look for actions of you to change and do something different, but your habits are the same, because you got Jesus in your heart, but you got your granddaddy in your bones, meaning that your intentions may be good, but your actions and your motives are still in the history. Okay, you still moving sideways, but talking to me face to face, and it ain't right. I'm just saying. But it's real, and that's true. So you don't really know, because my dad does smile a lot, and he will say he's sorry, and Mom will be like, okay, Brian, but they've been okay, Brian, whatever. He'd be like, sweetie, because when he calls her sweetie, then that's when I'd be like, Daddy, you were doing so good, until he's like, okay, sweetie, whatever, like real condescending. I'd be like, Lord. But he is quicker to say that he's sorry than my mom is, but that's their dynamics, and they know each other. And she also knows his history. He knows her history. So it is important to really get to know that person, like Indy said. And then we got a question from Martia that I want Indy and Brian to answer, because I think it's really funny.
Hold on, Bree. I just think it's funny because if me and Brian argue, I literally laugh at everything. So I'm saying sorry, but I'm laughing really, really hard. And I'm like, I'm not nervous or anything, but I just can't believe I'm in this situation, or I don't know what it is. I didn't know I got it from him, but I'll be like this. No. I'm sorry. Dang. Like, it'll be like, and I'll be having, it feels like somebody's tickling me.
I'll be like, stop laughing.
Like, and I'm like, I can't help it. I'm just really sorry. I don't know why. And I'm like, Lord, please help me get this laugh out of me.
Martia had a question.
But yeah, go ahead, Bree.
But I want to comment on that. I want to comment on what you said, though, because I'm sure a lot of guys feel the same way I do about this. But when we do wrong, oh my goodness, we need to apologize and almost shed a tear before they accept it. But for real, I said sorry 12 times already, And then when it's time for them to say sorry, it's just like, look me in the eye and I'm sorry.
Right, because I'm not lying. I really will just look. I said I'm sorry. That's that. But if Brian says that, I'm like,
and I can't get a second one. I say, what'd you say? I'm not saying it again.
Gosh, I said sorry. Y'all are not this. So. It should be a one and done.
But she's really a one and done. So.
Look, I'm just wondering. You heard me, but I know you're not sorry because you can't repeat what you're
even
sorry
in,
for.
even
That's
in
how I
doing
know.
that could turn into chastising or turn into mothering. So I think one thing that I know me personally that I've had to work on is that if somebody says they're sorry, I literally, even if I really don't feel like they mean it, I'm not sure. I've really had to pray and ask the Lord to just help change my heart towards that person and towards the situation so that I could move on and not still be peed off. Because you know what they did really deserves more than a sorry. So like if sorry is like $50, what you did is $100 offense. Okay. So what else could you say after you're sorry to really pay me back for this pain, turmoil, and issues that you could have caused? But I had to learn that to let that go, because when you sit in the seat of judge, you also have to sit in the seat of taking all of the punishment that Christ took for us, all of the things that he took for us when we take on that role. So it's just so much easier to accept it and keep it moving. Accept it as if they mean it, they're not going to do it again, and keep it moving. If it comes up again, don't be naive. You know, you do have to still make some smart decisions about your life and dating and relationships. But you can't sit there and give them a lie detector test like, are you sorry or not? No one has time for that. So next question. Martia said, speaking of in-laws, how do you go about maneuvering in a relationship where your partner reverts back to a childlike mindset around their parents? Like they just don't speak up, not saying the parents are bad because they are amazing, but it's just not a grown child to a parent balance. It's like a teenager to a parent mindset. Indy and Brian, I want you guys to answer that because y'all, I need Indy to answer that. Indy, how would you handle that if you're dating someone? Or Bulu, you know, Indy's a daddy's girl, so I don't really know.
Now that's up to mine.
So I think it's important that if something specifically happens where you were uncomfortable with how your partner was acting, to actually talk about it and bring it up that night or that day or whatever, and actually talk about it, because I don't remember too many exact circumstances where I might have acted childish around my mom or whatever, or where she acted a certain way. But I know that if it was something that made us uncomfortable, we would have actually talked about it. Because it might be natural to act a certain way around your parents because maybe you didn't hang around your spouse and your parents all the time. But the man I've become since I've been dating Indy, I make sure to try to practice that around my mom, so that I'm showing my mom how I am around Indy, and showing Indy that I can be the same man around my mom, vice versa. So because you don't want to be acting like I am. It's nothing to be ashamed of to be like a mama's boy, to really love your mama, but not like, you don't want to act like you're just gonna, be a baby around your mom when you're acting a certain way around your wife and stuff like that. So
Daddy's a mama's boy too. Aaron, I don't know if Aaron is a mama's boy or not, but
he's my boy. But anyway, here's the thing. I'm literally collecting data. Honest to God, when I'm dating, I'm collecting data. So how I see you in this dating stage is how you're going to be. You cannot sell me on when we get married, things are going to change. Because a vow does not change like a magic. It's not a magic pill. You're the same. Just like when you have a birthday and you were 18 yesterday and the next day you turn 19, you don't feel any different. You just by how you're born, that was your birthday, whatever, you're 19 now. But so when you have a parent like that and everything like that, it just really is discouraging, because you have to figure out where you fit in, and am I important enough to go through this life with you? Am I gonna ever have precedent in your life that I can speak up and say, hey, this isn't right? Are you gonna take my side? Are you gonna vouch for me or fight for me? If your mom needs you on one day or your dad needs you on one day and I need you on this day, who are you going to go to? Because just like in the Bible, like we said at the beginning, it's leave and cleave, And so when I see you, it's always great. You can have childlike moments with your family and all that, but they should not have the final say in what we're doing and all that. And whether you see me or you don't, they don't have the final rule and say, I need a man that's going to stand up. Because if you don't stand up, I'm just like, for yourself and for me, I don't feel secure. I don't feel protected. And I really don't feel love. And I'm going to look at you like a little peon.
Oh, hold on. I got to say, now that is all good, but it's situational too, because if your mother needs me to put a picture up and my mom needs a tire change, I'm changing the tire.
No, but Daddy, you know exactly what they're saying. It's not about that. Everybody knows, so that's common sense. That don't even have to be your. I could want you to put a picture up, but your cousin need you to change the tire. That's dangerous. We're not even going like that. But if I want you to put a picture up and your mama wants you to put a picture up, you gonna put my picture up first.
Amen.
See the difference of it, but also it's really standing up to your family, because there's a lot of things B-Lou might want to say to my family, but he can't. So therefore, if our family, we joke a lot, we go in a lot and all that kind of stuff, I'll do it some, but then also I'll be like, all right, enough's enough, because it's not fair ground that B-Lou can't talk to y'all a certain way. Like I could say, hey, I can like maneuver in there and get my little jabs in too. But if he says something, it would be disrespectful, and vice versa. I wouldn't say certain things that he could get away with his own family. So sometimes y'all be like, I'm talking to the other Brian, and I'm like, look, I'm the one that is talking right now, because he's still not blood and he still wasn't born into our family. So he can't go in and say some stuff that he might want to say. So I say it.
Okay, first of all, B-Lou has jokes all day long, and he says them under his breath. He says them to the side, or he may just say them to your face. B-Lou is saying these jokes. I just want y'all to know he is not shy, okay? And he has good jokes.
You can't say. Jokes. I say jokes, but there's still certain times where I just gotta keep it a respectful type of thing. Like if me and her dad are joking going in on sports, I still gotta make sure I'm not talking to him like he's a guy on the street.
Right, because I always pull him to the side and I say, remember, my daddy is not your friend. Don't get comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm your friend, B-Lou.
No, you still gotta be respectful. You still ain't eye to eye.
But you know, he's not our friend either. But in all honesty, as you get older and you grow, okay, your parents are, your parents, but they're not necessarily your friend, because they're still trying to take care of you and raise you to do the right things. But when you grow older, the respect and the honor that you have for your parents does not change. If anything, you have more of an understanding of why they deserve it than you did when you were a kid. So when you bring someone into your life, you want to make sure there are healthy boundaries, but that no one's being disrespected, because you want harmony, and that's something like Kelsey and Aaron getting married. Like I have an older brother and he got married and I wasn't really old enough to understand and really get to know, my sister-in-law, Kim, who I absolutely love, but it just was different now with Aaron marrying Kelsey and her coming into our family, and Indy and B-Lou and him coming into our family. We're old enough to have different perspectives, have different says, different opinions, but it's still important to make sure everybody feels loved and welcomed. And love should always trump the truth of your opinion or your thoughts on a situation. Because if you're saying something, and it's just important, if you're saying or doing something, is it love? Is it just? Is it going to help anything? Is it going to help the situation? If it's not bringing help, there's no need to say it, because what could it do? What else could it do? So if you're not saying something to be helpful, loving, or thoughtful, there's no point in even really bringing it up. Go ahead, swallow that back down and put it in your pocket, because it just brings issues in your family, and Daddy, make sure you put my picture up. When I call, if my husband's out of town, you just need to put my picture up. Taylor, you need him to put your picture up too?
Mine and Bella's picture up.
All of our, you gonna put all. Okay, we'll put all our pictures up. So so another question, and then we're gonna get out of here. I want to know, like, women connect, they confront to connect. So when Dr. Emerson is speaking about that in the book, and again, we're coming from the love she most desires and the respect he desperately needs, there's a statement in there that says women confront to connect. So we confront the situation, anything that's needs to be handled, we're bringing it up, thinking that that's a way of connection, thinking that that's a way of us getting closer, gaining more ground, getting better understanding or intimacy. What are some thoughts you like? Why is this a good thing, and how can it turn out not so good? And Janelle, I want to hear from you about the women confront to connect. How have you seen that that's been a good thing, or how have you seen that it's turned out to be a negative thing?
I think more so, in my experience, turned out to be a negative thing, just because it depends on the person that you're dealing with and how they want to be confronted, or they don't want to be confronted at all. It was more so just an open, closed situation. Okay, I said it, I did it, that's it. I don't want to hear anything else about it. And once you do, or you try to confront the situation, it turns into, and I think I've heard this before on the panel, a nagging situation.
Right.
In my experience, it never turned out to anything positive. It always turned out into something negative. And so for me, it just made me shut down and not want to communicate or confront a situation at all. It was always something that I kind of just had to take away on my own and deal with it the best way I knew how on my own. That's really
so okay, so it's not nagging. I'm just trying to handle the situation and I'm trying to bring it to your attention and as nice of a peaceful way as possible.
Right.
But it can be, I don't think men handle confrontation well. Pastor Kyrus, what do you think about men handling confrontation? And then Kelsey, I want to hear your thoughts.
I think it depends on the man, because I don't think you can group everybody the same. Some men handle confrontation fine, and others just, they just don't want to deal with it, and they're just ready to throw their hands up and say, okay, whatever, because they don't feel like dealing with it, depending on what they've been through during the day. But then you have some men that don't mind confrontation. So it's situational, and I don't think all men are the same. So it just depends on the man.
Okay, Kelsey, what do you think about confronting to connect?
I agree with you. I think it varies man to man. I think there's probably a majority of men that don't like the confrontation thing. I will say Aaron, I feel like for our whole relationship pretty much has been pretty much open to communication, which might go back to having y'all as sisters. I don't know. But
or Jesus in my heart.
Okay, Aaron, please. You know you got Jesus in your heart.
You just got it.
But you got your daddy in your bones, and your daddy is rough around the edges.
I'm telling you, that love is patient, love is kind. Oh, I'm telling you.
Okay, anyways, so Kelsey, you were saying.
Well, I was just saying, I do think it varies from man to man, but I think a lot of times when a woman confronts a man to be close, obviously she's trying to probably come to like some sort of reconciliation or something in the relationship, some kind of issue that's bothering her or something going on in the relationship, and maybe she approaches it in the wrong tone or the wrong way, and then the husband, I think it's just a miscommunication issue, honestly, in my opinion. I think a lot of times just the man is taking it as either like a disrespectful tone or like an unappreciative tone, like, oh, you don't appreciate anything else I've done, anything else I've said, anything else how else I've acted in this relationship, but you're focusing on all of that. You know what I mean? So I think it's really just a miscommunication issue. And so whenever you have a situation like that, obviously the two people are in opposition.
And I also think too, from the guy's perspective, there have been conversations or even arguments that me and Kelsey have had that because of this conversation, the confrontation or it seems like, dang, this is really like, dang, this is why it seems like you're kind of nagging at me or whatever it is. But I know in my heart that I do not want Kelsey to ever be afraid to bring up a conversation to me, to ever be afraid of actually saying what's on her heart, because I don't want her to feel that way. I don't want her to be all closed up and feel like she can't talk to me. Like, I feel like that's the worst thing ever for me personally in our relationship. I don't ever want her to be afraid to talk to me.
Don't worry about that. I'm gonna say what's bothering you.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, if I always respond negatively to her bringing up these conversations and stuff, it's going to become fewer and fewer and fewer, and she's going to probably be like, I can't talk to him.
She might just shut down.
And have a mindset set on that she can't talk to me. But anyway, so to say that, all that to say is there have been conversations or arguments that we've had because I felt like confronted or whatever. But I would end them by saying, hey, you know what, though, Kelsey, thank you for bringing this up because I really appreciate it. I know I didn't react how I should have at first, but I really appreciate you bringing this up because I want us to be able to communicate. And I hope, forgive me for reacting how I reacted at first, but I really thank you for bringing this up. And I thank you for opening up enough to just communicate to me, because I don't want her to ever feel like she can't talk to me or start having these mindsets that like, Aaron's going to react this way, Aaron's going to react that way. So I'm working on it. But at the end of the day, it's like, I really appreciate the fact that she would bring a conversation up, no matter what it is, because we got to be able to talk.
Okay, because Terry Benjamin, he said, don't confront me, approach me.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Okay. Okay. Bilu, were you saying something?
Yeah. So I was just gonna piggyback up what Aaron was saying, but just think how a lot of arguments start because of that. Like, it can actually be a negative thing to bring up something to the man if you're not actually confronting them in the right way. Like we said earlier, like if, like I was using Kelsey as an example, he wants her to be able to open up to her, but if she came to Aaron like, you're this, you're that, then arguments will start, you know? So if we actually approach each other as a couple, like we want to have a good open communication, it's just all about our delivery at the end of the day, I think.
I think that's good. Okay, so I have a question. When we look at, go ahead.
Can I say something, Bree?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to piggyback off of the women on the panel, and especially Janelle. Our situations were similar, our history, and I would shut down. And with Bree being my best friend of like 13 years, she knows that I will put that defense wall up and I'm not talking. But what I have learned is every man is different. Some like the confrontation, some don't. But I think going into it and keeping the goal in mind that I don't want anything else to stem from this. I don't want it to be heated. I just want you to know how I feel. And using the words I feel so they don't feel attacked. You're just sharing what you are feeling inside. And it's a comfort thing. You're just trying to clear the air because, like we said, we don't go to bed mad. Nobody wants to walk around in silence. And you're not just trying to blow something up even bigger. You know, you're just trying, you don't want that snowball effect. And if you feel something inside and you can't share with them, it's just going to stack and stack till you get to that one confrontation that just goes out of, just blow out of this world, you know? So I think it is how you approach. And when you are able to approach Janelle, then we don't shut down. But you got to have that from your partner, and it just depends on who your partner is, and they have to understand your way of communicating also.
But with you two both being divorced and previously married and having, like, you know, good and bad moments like any marriage does, when you go into a new relationship, and this is for some of you guys out there that are dating or have dated someone for a long time or been married before and you're looking, you know, for love again or dating or, you know, looking to get married again, what are, am I freezing again? This is the devil.
No.
I don't have time for this today. What are some things that you actually look for when it comes to just a spouse and your future prospects, or different things that you want to do different or handle a situation differently?
Well, I think for me,
Can y'all hear me?
Me, Bree, yeah, yes. I can. Yeah, can you hear us? Well, I'll just answer the question. I think for me, the number one thing that I'm looking for differently is the fact that real intimate relationship with the Lord. Off the bat, that's the first thing. Not just saying, "Oh yeah, I know God," or "I know Christ," or "Yeah, I go to church." I want to know that you have an intimate relationship with the Lord first and foremost, and then I just actually just gauge how we communicate together, even in the dating sense. The communication would be different. Okay. The way we can approach each other would be different. Those are the things that I'm looking for. A man who has a relationship with the Lord and communication is the first two things on the list to just even make me feel comfortable enough to even go forward.
Janelle, I'm with you on both of those. I'm growing myself in those aspects, but also mean what you say and say what you mean. You know, we're at a point in our lives that we don't have time for, oh, I think I want, or I do want, and then I don't want. I think just being 100%, you know, with that person and putting those true intentions out. You know, if you're not looking for what I'm looking for, it's okay to say that because we may not be on the same page. And that's okay. We're just not meant, you know, to continue any further. But that honesty and communication and let me know that I'm safe to come to you and have that communication. And I know it won't be a confrontation. I don't have to feel like I'm being attacked when you talk to me. You know, it's just something you're just trying to inform me on.
Agreed.
I see that Terry Benjamin said, please give a definition of confrontation. And so I want to say my definition of confrontation, it's just correction. I don't feel like being corrected all the time. My natural self does not want to be corrected. You know, that's why I'm telling y'all the Bible has changed me. But and even when somebody brings up some correcting things, with like if it's Kelsey, she's bringing up some correcting things. It really takes a lot for me to just be like, okay, she doesn't, you know, I gotta have this mindset that, hey, I know that she means the best. She's not trying to like come at me sideways or nothing like that. Even if she says it all weird or whatever, I know that her heart for me is good. And it takes a lot of work for me to do that. Like, it's not just easy. And so I think any type of correction, I don't like authority figures for the most part in general. You know what I mean? In school, I don't want you tell me what to do. So bringing that into marriage too, it's like especially when you are single, and then you come back and you start being married, or you just get in a relationship in general, and that person, they want you to do certain things, or it feels like they're correcting you. Man, it really takes a big mindset change. And one of the main verses that I wanted to bring up too was in James 1:19. This is the one that the Lord has been continually reminding me of. Is it says, "My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry." You know, and the first thing is quick to listen, you know, and then slow to speak, because if I feel corrected, I can come back and be like, hey, but you doing something this and doing this and doing that or whatever. Who are you, like, why are you talking to me like this about, you know what I mean? You can say hurtful things and it's just not true. That's why, like I said, the Bible is just so true with that aspect of just like hoping the best and also being slow to speak. Hoping the best that, hey, this person means well. Let me slow down. Let me not be angry. Let me not just spit off things off the top of my head, because it can really ruin some stuff.
And Bilu has something.
Yeah, so like, I want to give Indy a lot of credit, because you know a lot of women are saying that they want their men to be God-led. They want a man of God, but I think it starts with them also leading by example, because I see how Indy is all the time. She's always reading the Bible. She'll have certain times where she watches a movie and, you know, acts like a normal person, but you know, she's always reading the Bible. She's always praying. And then it also shows me what she needs, because I'm like, dang, she really does love the Lord, and I need to get closer to what she's like. And then I can also lead her one day in being a better man of God myself. So you can't just always be like, I want a man of God, and then you're not even showing him, you know, how to be a woman of God. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and I think that's true, because there'll be sometimes if he like comes over, I'm like, look, I gotta pray. I'm supposed to be doing this, and you're being really distracting. So either you can be in here with me, or you gotta go. But you gotta establish what comes first. Is, you know, and I know that a lot of times people go God, ministry, family, or God, family, ministry, but it's all already clumped into one, because ministry starts at home. So Taylor, what do you have to say? Because I'm going to read off this question from Tremaine.
Just real quick to piggyback on Aaron about, you know, confronting and authorities. You have to remember, when I was married, and I mean, now I'm divorced, but we're equal. So you don't speak to me any less than I would speak to you. And I think that's another thing of how confrontations can be more than they should. You just have to know that, you know, I am your husband and you're my wife. And guess what? We're in this together and we're equal. I'm not going to speak any less to disrespect you, and vice versa. And when you have that understanding and that foundation that Aaron spoke on earlier, and you know, you can go a long ways with that.
That's true, Taylor. So
Yes.
Tremaine Harvey said, question for Deacon Byrne. Is it fair for your wife to say she doesn't take out the trash because it's a man's job? I'll take the trash out. However, don't expect me to do the dishes because it's a woman's job. What do you say to that, Daddy?
Well, I understand where he's coming from, but it's really tough, because for one, I think you just gotta help out and do it when you can. If you're home first and it's trash day, take the trash out. You know, if she's been cooking, it's no harm in helping take care of the dishes, you know. But if she wants to say, label the job as this is your job, and your label, and she agrees with the label, the dishes is her job, then that's something you have to work on. That's something in your relationship y'all agreed to. But to me, I just try to do what it takes to take the burden off of the next person.
Aaron, you got something to say?
I don't even know where we are at. This stuff has just been going crazy over here with me. So thank God y'all had the questions, could carry on.
What did you say, Aaron?
We're on Tremaine's question now, and growing up with two sisters, this was always a point that I would make. I would like, look, my job is taking out the trash and cutting the grass, which takes at least an hour sometimes.
Once every 2 weeks.
Hey, listen, but then they get to be inside in the air condition, washing the dishes. I will wash some dishes. I don't mind. We can all help out cutting the grass. But I just thought it was kind of funny because I remember growing up, I was like, why I gotta take out the trash and cut the grass, and they just gotta wash some dishes. I don't mind.
Washing dishes is a big deal.
Wash dishes and watch TV. But anyways, but that's not how I think now. That's not how I think now. But
I'd rather mow the yard than wash dishes personally.
but you know what? The book actually did bring up a point kind of similar to this, and he was just talking about just doing the little things that just continue to help show each other that you love them and that you're on the same team. I don't think necessarily like I'll be putting up the dishes now or something like that, you know, and it's just nice when Kelsey comes and helps me or I come and help her because neither of you want to wash the dishes. Like it's like it's not like an integral part of your day where you were like, this is going to help us move further in life, washing some dishes. No. So since it's one of those tasks that it's not really helping anybody except keep the house clean, which is wonderful, why not be a teammate and just come over and, hey, help me take this thing that's going to take me 30 minutes and make it 15 minutes. You know what I mean? And same thing with cutting the grass. If it's not all, you know, like, I just think everybody can help out. And I just think it just makes things a little bit easier. You know, it just makes things feel a lot better. Same with putting tree lights on the tree for Christmas. Because if it's just the man's job to put the tree lights on the tree, it can become a hassle. And men, we start like, God dang it, I don't feel like doing this. And Christmas has a bad connotation to it now because I gotta wrap all these daggone lights on the tree. Ain't got no help.
Maybe you're lazy, but anyway, Billy, what would you say?
I think it just, as a man, I just feel like the men got to do the dirty jobs. You know, like if the toilet clogged up, I don't want my woman going there and doing all that work. If it's her own stuff, maybe. You know what I mean?
Oh gosh.
But I feel like there's certain jobs that are just manly jobs, and that's not being sexist or trying to label things. I just think, you know, I don't want my woman walking out with like bags of trash doing that, going out at nighttime, you know, in the street. I think that's something that a man's got to do. I mean, I can't help out the dishes when they're, you know, if she's doing the dishes, I'm not gonna just stare at her or have me sit on the couch or something like that, you know. So I think that as a man, you just need to be more proactive and just realize that as a man, you want to be needed. You want to be the guy that's, you know, doing jobs and stuff like that. Because if I'm not doing it, some other man would probably want to be in my house.
You heard me? So let me tell you. So listen to this. So then we were saying how if there's no dishes in the sink and you come home and you dirty up the kitchen, honestly, for one, what you use, which is what you wash. But I think it also comes in with teamwork and helping each other because if say like we're not gonna just label as something as my job or your job because then when the time comes and you see that my love language is acts of service and I've had a long day, I'm gonna need you to help service me and do these dishes or something like that. But it really is, I think, to each his own. What works for your family works for your family. If y'all already have that understanding, don't let nobody come in and say something extra to try to like turn that around. But for real, with the trash, I'm really not probably gonna take the trash out like that unless I had to because he was out of town. That's really something I don't want to do, and I'm really not a grass cutter. But if you gotta ride a lawnmower, I probably can help you out. But I'm not gonna just be sitting in the house with my feet propped up while you're struggling on the grass, like with the grass, because I love you and I care about you, and I know that you're working hard during the week too. So it just is different.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, but that also goes back to the Bible verse that talks about how we should serve one another in love. And I think if you just keep that as your basis, serving one another, that falls under everything. Every category you can serve in some sort of way and help out. You know, because like I said, those chores, nobody necessarily just wants to do them. You know, so if you can feel like you can help out, help out. Just get the paper plates, Terry Benjamin.
Those paper plates.
Paper plates.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. There was one other question before we get out of here. I think Bree's frozen or something. It says, obviously, cleaving involves sex, but what other kinds of closeness are involved? Taylor, can you touch on that, you and Pookie?
it sums back up to the C in couple as far as communication. That's closeness. Just listening, that's closeness. Understanding, that's closeness. And it's not always that physical touch. The physical touch is nice, but that's not everyone's love language. And I think understanding the love languages and what your spouse or your partner needs is more beyond the whole bedroom thing, you know?
I agree. I couldn't have said it better myself, Taylor. So I think to sum all of that up, it's more having a mental stimulation for me that involves the closeness without the closeness. It's be there for me mentally. And that sums up the whole couple, the edification, the understanding, the listening, the peacemaking, all of that entails the cleaving without cleaving.
Kai, what would you say? Pastor Kyrus, can you hear us? Okay, Aaron, go ahead.
I don't know if I can hear.
Can you guys hear me? I don't know.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I can hear you now. What were you saying, Indy? Did you ask a question?
Yeah, I said obviously cleaving involves sex, but what other kinds of closeness are involved?
Oh my God. This is
Bree, we can hear you.
It doesn't even matter if you can hear me because I'm frozen.
Well, we can hear you though.
You know what? I'm sick of the devil today. Anyways, let's just. This is so demonic.
Okay.
So bad. You can't see, but you can hear. This is like God. You might not be able to see him, but you know you can hear him.
Keep going, Bree. You're doing it. It sounds good. We can hear you good.
That's so irritating. Anyways, okay, go ahead, Pastor Kyrus. Please answer the question for what Indy asked you.
Was it about the closeness?
Yeah, involving sex, but other kinds of
other ways to be close. Yeah. Is that what I was asking?
Yep.
Is that what she's asking?
Now, Bree.
Yes.
Andy, repeat the question. Oh, about being close. Okay. Yeah, I think there's plenty of other ways of just, maybe just hanging out with each other, being on the couch, snuggling, looking at TV, just going with him if he's going somewhere, going to work, if he's going to visit people, just hanging out together. I think that's, plenty of times being close. And I know Pee Wee had said something about being on the lawn more together and her mowing lawn and stuff like that. I think just us being together is closeness enough. Just doing small things. Doesn't have to be anything great. Going to the beach, just going just going anywhere, just hanging out together. You can be close any kind.
Amen. So I think that pretty much sums it up and everything. Does anybody else have anything to add?
You guys can hear me because you can't see. Anyways, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you guys ever get to question 10 when it talked about men being controlled?
No.
I want to know, why is that literally in 2 seconds? Why do men fear being controlled, and how can understanding the crazy cycle prevent that from spinning? Like, why is it a big deal, when a husband who needs to know that more? Who needs to understand that more, that the fear of being controlled? The husband or the wife?
The husband.
Hello?
Go ahead, Daddy. Hello.
Okay, I feel it's the husband because no one wants to be controlled. So you always want to be equal all across the board. You want to have your feelings and everything considered versus controlling you and telling you what to do like you're a kid. Because you don't marry a kid. You marry another adult and it has opinion and he wants to know his opinions count, and he wants to be involved in some of this decision making.
Okay, Aaron and B-Lou, what are y'all's thoughts on that?
I think that if you understand how you don't want to be controlled, I think it's if you go into it knowing that, if a woman's asking you for changes and you already know your natural instincts not to be controlled, you might be able to handle her coming to you a little easier, knowing that, all right, well, I need to not be like this. I need to allow myself to be changed where I'm wrong. So if you don't, it's kind of like knowing that your flesh is weak. You're not going to allow yourself to get got, So I think that me knowing that naturally I don't want to be controlled, if she comes to me, I can probably receive it a little bit better because I can talk to myself about it first and understand, hey, she wants me to change, be a better man. I know I don't want to change, but I need to. So
I feel like you don't have a problem with being because I don't try to control you. I think you have a problem with admitting that you were wrong.
Yeah.
Right, but I think that's a whole different thing. Like if if I don't try to control you, but when I come to you and like for layman's terms, call you out on something, then you have a problem with that more than me saying, hey, do this, or whatever, blah, 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 and make sure you better do this. I don't really talk like that, but the whole, if I confront you when you're wrong, then I think that's where you struggle but gotten better. But go ahead, Aaron.
I think that fear of being controlled comes along with a lot of the things that are said in our culture. Like our culture will say, "Oh, you're getting married now. Oh my gosh, like you there goes your life. There goes you're there. They say things like that make men feel like they want to be put in the category of, I ain't gonna be one of those guys. I'm not gonna be one of those guys that ask my wife about everything. I'm not gonna be, and that or just other thing. I ain't gonna be one of those guys who lets my wife run me and blah 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 blah. But the asking my wife everything or whatever, you're basically saying I'm not gonna be one of those guys who's gonna be one with his wife, and that's what the Bible tells us that we are. We become one. You become a team. You do need to communicate and ask your wife certain things. And vice versa, you know what I mean? Ask things that you don't even think they should be asking for, because even though you're a grown adult or whatever. But I just think it comes with. I think it's a lot of culture, and people say it jokingly, but it can be a mindset, and it can be a fear for men because they're like I said, I ain't gonna get got with this woman. She ain't gonna run me all over the place and all this kind of stuff, which is it's really an attack of the devil when you pick up that mindset, because it's like, we're supposed to be one. We're a team, and I'm not marrying somebody anyways who thinks that she can run me, and and I'm not going to be afraid to ask questions or give out my details. And part of that too it comes from the book was talking about how women just love to overly communicate, and be in the know. And I think that's true in a lot of different aspects, because it's like Kelsey would be like, Aaron. Like, I'm like, I'll think something's not even really important to tell her. And she's like, Aaron, why didn't you tell me that?
Or he'll wait until the day of to tell me.
And that's something I'm getting better at. But it's just like, because I was like, it wasn't even like a big deal to me. I was like, yeah, I'll do it if I feel like it, or not do it if I feel like it. But it's kind of like, I wasn't even planning on doing it, or I was, but I didn't think it was going to be a big deal. But it's just like a communication thing. It's just like.
That's a difference in personalities, too, that a lot of times men and women don't agree on or have the same similarities, but I think that men can mistake those kind of things as control, or a woman seeking or wanting control, when really that's not even what she's trying to do at all.
It's just kind of trying to be in the know. And I realize that. I'm like, all right, well, Kelsey, first of all, I start thinking now, I'm like, all right, Aaron, life is too short not to talk about things. Like I could really just compress all the things and just be like, put it in my head. Like she could I could come home and she could ask me, hey, Aaron, how was your day? And I could be like, yeah, it was all right. Or I could actually just give her some details, because I know she wants some details, and it would keep conversation going in the house. Like, why not give some details about some things? Obviously, if you got a nagging woman or whatever like that, which we probably all should kind of do away sometimes with that word nagging. But, if it's one of those situations, there's other foundational stuff that needs to be worked on. But I think men in general, we should probably be a little bit more open, because the book was telling us how the women really desire communication. And I think that's true in a lot of different cases. Not every woman's the same or whatever, but I think in a lot of different cases, it is beneficial to just open up and communicate. Hey, my day was going like this. This was what happened at work, and blah, 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 blah.
Okay, you guys, everyone can hear me? I don't know what's happening, but we're getting ready to get off of here. So I love everybody. Thank you so much for coming on and joining us tonight. If you do have any prayer requests, feel free to send them in, and we'll be happy to do our best to answer, to respond. If you have any questions for any of the panelists, separately, I don't know where Janelle is. She left. She's got kicked out. Something's going on tonight with internet. It's weird. Anyways, but you guys, just thank you so much for joining and your questions and all of your participation. I want to thank our special guest, Taylor, my best friend, for showing up and showing out with all of her insight and wisdom. And once again, thank you guys so much for joining Live with Kyrus. We'll see you right here again next week, next Wednesday. If you could go ahead and pray us out. Aaron, do you mind?
Sure. Lord, we just thank you so much for this this live opportunity to speak into people's lives, this book that has impacted our families and impacted our lives. We thank you so much for your word that is just the truth of the world, Lord, the truth that we all desperately need, and it changes us and makes us who we are. So Father, I just ask that you just birth a love in our hearts and a desire to and hunger for your truth even more, Lord, and point us to you, point us in the right direction. I thank you, Jesus, that you just send your ministering angels to minister to every broken household, every household that just needs some work. Holy Spirit, we ask that you would just remind us of the things that we should be saying, things that we shouldn't be saying, and let us be slow to anger and slow to speak, but quick to listen, Lord. We just thank you so much for this opportunity to speak into people's lives and this opportunity to have a community, God, where we are all trying to get better at our relationships. And Father, we just rebuke the devil from attacking our marriages. Please just give us even more insight and more wisdom and things that we need to do to protect our marriages. And I just decree and declare right now in the name of Jesus, everybody who is married or everybody who's going to be married one day, or that their relationships will be everything that you dreamed of in Jesus' name. Everything that you dreamed of, God, every dream that you have for their relationship will come to pass. We just rebuke the enemy off of attacking their relationships in the name of Jesus. And I just thank you for peace. I just release the supernatural peace of heaven, the perfect peace of heaven over each and every household right now in the name of Jesus, the perfect love of heaven over each and every household. And they would come and go back and get off of these and be able to have loving conversations and relationships right now in the name of Jesus. Amen and amen.
Amen. Happy New Year, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, we'll see you right here next week.
Next year.
Oh, yeah, we'll see you next year. Okay, we'll see you right here again next week of Live with Kyrus. Have a great night.
That's simple love. It's the back rubs and kisses in the evening, and the silly things you say just to make me laugh. Look me in the eyes and say you'll never leave me. Give me love, give me a girl, yeah. It's my t-shirt you wear when you're sleeping. It's the way the moonlight hits your silhouette. Love you till my heart stops beating. Give me love, oh yeah. I need love, yeah. You give me that simple